Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Data Show. My name is Chris Greco. I'm here for the next 30 minutes hosting you and looking at data, but not like you would think data is normal. Like in a situation where you take a look at data and you take a look at what data is all about, it's very important to understand that the data is something that we should be making decisions based on. So I think what our theme today is going to be that we want to have data driven decision making. That's what we want to have. But in 9 times out of 10, what we have decision driven data making. So basically what happens is you make the data to fit the decision that you want to do. And that's where we have a lot of problems. And when we sit back and we go, hey, what type of problems do exist with data making? We're about to go into that. So we had a question on the email, and it went something like this. It says, how do I know if taking a vaccination is good or bad? So basically, is my vaccination, right, going to hurt me? And I think that is something that everybody talks about. Is my vaccination going to hurt me? Now, this is based on a lot of data. Vaccinations are not just like puffed out. Although, we can say like the COVID-19 vaccinations were readily available quickly, but when we get right down to it, it has to do with, are the vaccinations really that good? Or, does the data support the vaccination once it's given in a general population? So I think that's important, and we need to take a look at that. So, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at data, and we're going to take a look and see exactly what it is about vaccinations. Now, it just so happens that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, so Centers for Disease Control should be the first place you look when it has to be about anything having to do with vaccinations or disease in general or whatever else. CDC.gov. So that's what we're going to talk about today is, where do I get the data, and is the data going to be something that I need to rely upon, or is it something that maybe doesn't quite take into consideration everything that is supposed to happen from that standpoint. So we're going to take a look at that. And you go to cdc.gov, you can find a lot of things on cdc.gov. I mean, tons and tons and tons of things. You can see it and you can take a look at it from that standpoint. So without further ado, let's go to what they call CDC Wonder. And CDC Wonder is found at cdc.gov. And what you can take a look at, this, and it's basically wonder.cdc.gov. Wonder.cdc.gov. So that's what you're going to go to. And what I did is I went into what they call a vaccination, the vaccination effect. So what I did was I put in vaccination, and it's basically the vaccine adverse effect reporting system, what they call VAERS, VAERS. Okay, so that's what I went to, and I got this. So that's where I'm going to do here. So I'm going to go to the actual VAERS, and then the first thing you come upon is a disclaimer. So read and understood the disclaimer, and then it comes up and it gives you a lot of different. It gives you some screens to take a look at. So basically, I go to the request form. Well, it goes into about, first of all, so you have to see all these situations here. So it's like, oh, hey, all kind of data searches and different things, and you can even do a data search from here. And bang, there it is, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. It comes with a lot of different areas, and it pulls that data from the CDC Wonder list. Now, a couple of things. First of all, these are adverse event reports. These are events that are given basically by hospitals or by nursing homes, different things, different areas, right? And we'll get to that later. So I'm going to group results by symptoms. I can also group them by whatever I want: vaccine type, vaccine, manufacturer, dose, lot, age, sex, state, territory, days in the hospital, event category. I mean, recovered, serious, administered by, VAERS ID, dates, years reported, uh, year vaccinated, year of onset. So there's a lot of the years died. So so what we can do is we can actually take a look at these and say, okay, I'm going to group the results by year died, because I only want to know if somebody died as a result, that the event reporting system, the vaccine adverse event reporting system, had to do with the year of dying. But that's the year of the person died. They could have died from anything, could have died from underlying conditions. That doesn't necessarily mean they died from the vaccine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make that serious, right? I'm going to make the groups results by serious, and then I'm going to say, let's say it's serious, and let's say the year reported. But I can go through, I can have 5 different reporting items here. Optional measures, adverse event description, lab data, current illness, adverse events after prior vaccinations, medications at time of vaccination. Now I'm going to put medications here. Medications at time of vaccination. To me, that's important. Now, the thing is I've just gone through a situation with my doctor where they wanted me to do Prevnar and Prevnar 20. And I said, why am I doing Prevnar 20 when I get the Pneumovax? And they said, well, Prevnar 20, cancer 20 of that. And I said, well, Pneumovax every 5 years. I don't mind doing that every 5 years. Knock on wood, I've never had pneumonia. And I've had Pneumovax for like 3 or 4 times, within the past, whatever it is, 15, 16 years. And it's never had a problem. I've never had any adverse reactions. Everything's good. Life is good. It's never, had a problem. And they go, no, you really need to take Prevnar 20. Well, so I thought, well, something, I'm gonna take a look at that, and I'm gonna say, okay, I want Prevnar 20. So I'm gonna do a search, right, on these different areas. Now you notice all these vaccines. So I'm gonna say Prevnar, right? Prevnar. And then I'm gonna search for that. So I'm gonna search for Prevnar and see what it says. Let's see. Well, here we go. Vaccine pneumococcal 7-valent 20. So we're going to do 20 pneumo. There it is. And what I'd like to do is also what I want to do is Pneumovax. So I want to do Pneumovax here. So I want to do a search on Pneumovax, and I want to compare them. So search, and then I'm going to do hello. Where's my search thing? Here it is. Pneumovax. Oh, in fact, I'm going to do pneumonia. Pneumonia. I don't think that's right. I don't think it'll. Let me see if it'll even. It may give me nothing. No new match response. So we're going to browse here and show you the browsing capability. So I'm going to go all the way down to pneumonia here. PN. Here we go. Pneumococcal vaccine polyvalent. I think that's going to. Whoops. I'm going to open that. And I think we have Pneumovax. So we're going to do Pneumovax. And then we're going to do Prevnar 20. Control. Hit the control key. Hit that. So we're going to compare those two. Pneumovax and Prevnar 20. And notice I did symptoms. I'm not going to worry about that. Serious. And then we'll just go ahead and just go that. And we'll do, all events, life-threatening, permanent disability, hospitalized. So let's do hospitalized, rather than all events. We'll just do hospitalized. And vaccinated, administered 4, not worried about that. Days in the hospital, not worried about that. All the years, because Pneumovax was way back in the 1990s. Prevnar is just current. And we're just going to go ahead and compare those two. And let's see, I think we're going to compare. We're comparing serious, year reported, and by vaccine. So we'll do it that way. Okay, let's see what happens. We'll just let it process. You must select VAERS ID and group results by list when requesting any of the optional measures. Oh, okay, so forget that. We're not going to do VAERS ID because I don't know what the VAERS ID is, and I don't want to waste your time as an audience. So we're going to let that thing go. Okay, so what do we have? Well, see, serious, yes, 1991 reports, 8 of them, 0.29%, 0.29%, 0.30, 0.30, 165, whatever it is. So you have a lot of pneumovax areas, but look at Prevnar. Prevnar 20, you have 1,206, and you get 30 of these, 1.07% versus 1.61%. 0.93% in 2023 versus 0.50%. And this one is 2.61%. There's 73 of those, 0.04% for Prevnar 20. So from the data that I can see right here, I sit back and I go, well, wait a minute, Prevnar 20, you have 1,206 people, and you have one incident of severe hospitalization, right? So events reported. Because remember now, when I went to the request form, I put in there, I put in there serious, right? I put serious. Yep. Group of results by serious and hospitalized. So based on just this area and the results, I take a look and I go, well, pneumovax is way low here. In the 1990s, it is relatively low. 1.36 is about the highest here. 2.18, 2.86 in 2004, 3.94. You notice how it's slowly creeping up here. 4.40, 4.83, 5.55, 6, and then back down to 4, then to 5. A lot of, kind of a lot of issues there. Then all of a sudden it drops to 1.36. But then comparing these, you have a 1.61, which actually is above 1.36. And then here you have, it lowers in 2023, but then they got this unknown date thing going here. But then they have all kind of problems with pneumovax and hardly any, if none, from the Prevnar 20. So 2023, it looks like it's slightly above, you have 26 versus 14 events that left people hospitalized. And that is worrisome. That's really worrisome. 2022, you had 30 versus 45. Now you're up to 26. So, this is pretty consistent, 30 and 26, but you have 45 to 14 for pneumovax. So that's, you can kind of make a decision like what does it look like? What does the trend look like? Well, the trend here looks like you had some issues, 5.90, 4.26, these different areas. Then all of a sudden you have, it goes down and down and down and down. So it could be that people are taking more Prevnar than they are pneumovax, which should lower that area in pneumovax, but it doesn't seem like it. So basically the data here, it says unknown date, which is scary, but this looks like it's hardly any, a lot of big difference between pneumovax and Prevnar. But this is the CDC. And again, there are some limitations here. Is that the data is that data that's reported. It's reported by hospitals, right? So that's important. So I always wanted to know, is a flu shot gonna give me a problem here? So I think I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to browse through and see if they have influenza, which they should. Here it is, flu seasonal, quadrivalent, trivalent. There's a lot of different flus here. H1N1, unknown manufacturers, all kind of different flus here. HPV, diphtheria, what do they call it? Tdap, right? Tdap shot, tetanus. So let's do tetanus. I just got that done. And let's see about hospitalization, whatever else. Let's see if it's worthwhile to have a Tdap shot. So, I just had that. It was sore and whatever else. So here's 2005. You get the Tdap. And you can see that you had a big deal here, Edicel. These are different manufacturers, I think, and you have these types of issues. I mean, 6.49%. I mean, wow. 8.66% from Tdap. This is hospitalization now. I left it on hospitalization. Now it lowers really a lot here in 2023 to lower at 1.40%, which is good. That means that maybe they're getting better from that standpoint. So again, they're taking each of these and they're looking at them. So that is that's pretty scary. I think these areas here, this 1092, 1091. I don't think that they are. I think they are either manufacturers or whatever they are, because you notice they don't change. 1104, 1104, 1104. So there might be a VAERS ID that they're talking about here. I have to look that up. If anybody has any questions, give me an email and I'll tell you exactly what that is. But I'm not sure about that. But you can see there's not that many people that got that, and they had, as a result of that, lower area. But I mean, here people had 66 and 4.61%. So, percent, here we go, percent of 1,432. So that's what the number of people that reported those incidents. So you're talking about 0.07%. 0.07%. Now, this is really, really important, folks. And this is something that I have tried to instill upon a lot of different people. But it goes something like this, that 0.0%, it's not the same as 0.0, as like 0.07. So here's what you have. So you have 0.007%. Now, to get that to a decimal, you have to divide by 100. Divide that by 100. Okay? That means 0.00007. That's how many people we're talking about. Times 1432. 0.1 person, a tenth of a person. So very, very small. So let's do what it says. I messed up here. It's not point. It's 0.07% divided by 100, because you have to do that, right, to make that work. I mean, 0.07% is not what you'd think, right? It's percent means per 100, right? Per 100. So it's very small. Divide that by 100, and that's going to equal 0.007. And then you times 1432, because that's how many people we're talking about, and that equals one person. So basically, one person out of 1,432. And if you take a look at that and you go, well, Chris, that doesn't seem right. Well, it is. Watch. 1 divided by 1432 is equal to 6.9 to not -4, right? So let me do it by percentage, right? Let me do it by percentage. So if I have this by percentage, I need to divide that, right? Need to divide that by 100%, and now I'm this. I'm 6 to the -6th. So 0.07% is very, very small. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And let's go back for a second and just explain a little bit about this. So let's talk about 1%. So I want to say, and I'm sorry for hammering this, but I think it's important. 1%, right? What is 1%? Okay. What is 1%? So if we take a look at 1%, well, 1% is, so if we have 1%, then we have that 1% of that, what would be 1 per 100. So it'd be 0.01, right? 1% would be 0.01. That's 1%. A lot of people sit there and go, well, Chris, how does that make sense? Well, what's 100%, right? What's 100%? 100% is 1. if we're talking about 100%, that's one. 100% of something, that a probability means it's a one. It's a one, zero or one, right? Zero means it's never going to happen. One means it's absolutely going to happen. 100%, 100% of the chance. So in order to get one out of 100%, you have to divide by 100. You have to divide by 100. So that's why whenever you're looking at this stuff and you're looking at these areas and you're seeing 2.79%, 0.98%, those are very, very small numbers. Those are very, very small numbers. And I think the last thing I wanted to point out is zero point 0.1 is not 0.1%. And a lot of people just don't understand that. And I think it's very important to bring that out. So when you're looking at these tables, know how to describe them and know how to interpret them. And I think if you do all that, I think you'll be able to understand a lot better as to what life is all about, especially when it comes down to these data aspects. So that's just one example. And I'm going to bring in many, many more examples of this area. So what we don't want at all is decision-driven data making. We want data-driven decision making. That's what we want. So for the next 3-4 shows, that's what we're going to be covering, is how to make decisions based on data that you have available to you. In this case, you got CDC Wonder, you work that. Any other data that you would happen to collect or get as a result of this might be biased. And I'll tell you why, is because where are you getting that? Is it from a certain hospital? Is it from a certain region? Is it from certain whatever? That's going to be issues. CDC Wonder, the CDC gets it from hospitals across the nation. Now, again, only those hospitals that report this. So if hospitals never report it, that data is never tabulated, and so it is not part of the system. So that's something that you have to take into consideration and understand exactly what's going on. But you do get data. Now, if you want, you can even have more options on this, and you can have charts on this. I mean, if you want a chart, see, one or two-way tables are the only things you can do here. So if I were to put this, let's say, just none, and just put years reported. Years reported, and then put none here. I think you put none here. Yeah, none here. Then I can take a look at that, and I might be able to get an actual chart from that. So you can actually work those charts, I think. Let me see if it does it. Yeah. So here are the charts. Sometimes you can get it. See? So you can get the charts from this. You can even do, and you can do line. You can do. There's all kind of different things here. Year reported vaccine. You can have a bar chart, stacked line chart. You can have a line chart, vertical, and you can change charts. And there it is. And there's your line chart here. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. My recommendation is to play with it and make sure that you have the whole idea of how to get all this stuff. Pretty important. So on that note, remember, and it's very important, that in the future, what you need to do is you need to make decisions based on data, based on data. So you don't try to let you let data drive your decision, not reverse. You don't make your decision and then hope that data backs you up. I think that's something that people do. And I was with the federal government; they did it all the time. Military does it all the time. So you got to really be careful about decisions that are made without consulting the data. Now, from the data that I just took a look at, I'm still mixed feelings about the whole thing about Prevnar, but it gives me food for thought. Like, well, the adverse effects really don't consume that whole argument. So I have to go back and take a look at that and reevaluate that whole thing. So by doing the show, it actually helped me. And hopefully the show will help you. It'll help you to make better decisions using data. And that's going to be our theme for the foreseeable future on this show is where's the data located? What can I take a look at? And then why, what are the decisions I can make from that data, from the data, not reversed. So until next time, this is Chris Greco for the Data Show saying, check the data and make your decisions, not reverse. Have a great day.